Season 1 of Andor has officially wrapped up, and we've seen a reluctant Cassian finally choose a side. It was a season that gave us a fantastic origin story for one of the best characters in the Star Wars universe. But as much as it gave us, it left us with plenty of questions to contemplate before Season 2. Here are 5 burning questions we have from Andor Season 1. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'd never miss out on all new reviews I put out weekly here at Off the Cover. And without further ado, on to the video. Disney's best Star Wars show so far brought its main Imperial and Rebel protagonists together for an explosive, revolutionary funeral on Cassian's home planet of Ferrix. Every one of the surviving characters have evolved very quickly in this exciting first season. But now we have a gigantic what's next question. Here's what we know so far. We know that Rebel Captain Cassian Andor, Saw Gerrera, and Mon Mothma are at the heart of Rogue One, taking place 4 years after the events of the series. But we don't yet know how they got there or anything about the other names we've come to care about, such as Luthen, Bix, Vel, or Cinta. And what about Dedra and Cyril? What happened to these characters by the events of Rogue One? Question 1. Yavin 4 is a long ways from the galactic center of Coruscant. How does Mon Mothma wind up on Yavin 4 by the time of Rogue One and A New Hope? In order to keep up funding for the rebellion, Mothma seems to be on the edge of dooming her daughter Leia to an arranged marriage that bound her own parents in an unhappy marriage. But forgetting her family for a second, something is going to take Mothma from her bougie boredom with dinner parties and schmoozing to standing at the strategic head of the entire rebel operation inside the ancient monuments on Yavin 4. Does the Empire catch Mothma cooking her books? Does her husband turn on her, forcing her to run? That may seem a bit too straightforward for a show operating at this level, although Perrin is just the kind of degenerate to turn his own wife in to maintain his gambling lifestyle. Question 2. Back on the resort planet Cassian escapes to, we finally get a glimpse of one of the best droids in the Star Wars universe, the K2 units. Season 1 kind of faked us out with the appearance of the Imperial droids and shore troopers. At some point in the next 4 years, Cassian will encounter K2SO, the sassy reprogrammed droid, who has some of the funniest lines in Rogue One. But how will we be introduced to this awesome droid? Question 3. Now that was a minor question. More importantly, what happened to Kino? Whenever we don't see a death on screen, we have to automatically assume the character didn't die. Andy Serkis's disillusioned prison leader, Kino Lu, was another standout character in Season 1. The last we saw of him, he was left at the prison entrance with the revelation that they were surrounded by water and he couldn't swim. Is that all there was to Kino's character? You don't have to buy the dubious claim and fan theory that Kino becomes Supreme Leader of the First Order, Snoke. Aiming for fan service and connecting 2 whole movie trilogies doesn't exactly seem to be like Andor's style. But that doesn't mean we don't see Kino again. On the contrary, if this story is as dystopian and tightly written as Tony Gilroy says it is, expect Kino to crop up somewhere in the Imperial war machine. The one guy left in prison is likely to meet a swift execution, but something tells me that Kino is smart and charming enough to talk his way out of that situation. Question 4. As far as the villains are concerned, we've gotten some hints here and there that Dedra and Cyril have some chemistry, although they seem like the odd couple. She's a ruthlessly ambitious Imperial insider, and Cyril seems to be a weakling beta male living with his mother. When Cyril stalked out Dedra, I think, most fans found it kinda creepy, including Dedra herself. But in the finale, when he rescues her, we may have seen a bit of a spark. Will Dedra arrange a job for Cyril in the ISB? And what becomes of them by the time of Rogue One? Question 5. The most important question definitely has got to do with Luthen Rael. He seems to be the biggest question mark of the series. Who is he underneath all his masks, both metaphorical and physical, in his store? How did he get trapped in this moral maze where he has to sacrifice 50 men not to burn an Imperial source? His life is now a series of crosses, double crosses, and backstabbings, including attempting to kill Cassian himself for the greater good. In retrospect, the clues may not be exactly that subtle. Luthen gave Cassian a kyber crystal, the power source for lightsabers, as a sign of his trustworthiness. Jedi holocrons can also be seen repeatedly in the background of his back room. Luthen also shares his plan with ghosts, and that he's sacrificed everything, including his sense of calm, exactly what a Jedi cultivates. He said he'd been fighting the Empire since the beginning, which lines up with Order 66, the moment the Emperor directed clone troopers to slaughter their Jedi officers. Sad to say, Luthen may not be long for this universe, as he's nowhere to be seen on the Rebel base on Yavin 4 in Rogue One or A New Hope. I'm sure dozens of reasons can be conjured up for why this Rebel spy isn't around. Perhaps he was captured by the Empire, or perhaps he still lives throughout the original trilogy. Personally, I would love to see him get his own series. Stellan Skarsgård is a spectacular actor that can definitely carry his own series. Perhaps through his series, we could see his travels during the aftermath of A New Hope. Or even, Disney could choose to resurrect one of the most interesting times in Star Wars lore, Shadows of the Empire, the period between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Luthen would be perfect for this period. Or perhaps from his own series, Disney could lead right into a Shadows of the Empire series, or even a movie in the same vein as Rogue One. But who knows if he makes it that long. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more great content.